And Jamie, mainstream media in Australia usually running all sorts of baloney. They've lost all credibility back home. We know that the latest agenda with the hantavirus, the monkey virus, it was basically defeated with laughing emojis. But what's going on with Australian media, Western media in general? They've been attacking you lately as well. What's your take on
Yeah, we look at, say, News Corp media, right faction media owned by Murdoch, of course, Rupert Murdoch. They've attacked, at least one or two attack articles on Bali they've been running for decades. I don't know why, I do know why, because you understand Indonesia used to be controlled by Israel, which was back in, they did a coup in 1965, kicked out popular President Sukarno, installed a military leader who was their puppet. Genocide, of course, which tends to happen to those sort of people. And then he was booted out, Suharto, about 26 years ago. And ever since then, Indonesia started to become very wealthy. People don't understand Murdoch is right faction media, owns Sky News and all the Daily Telegraph, Sun, Herald Sun, etc. All these papers, Australian newspaper. So Murdoch is the second largest donor to Netanyahu. So Murdoch is a Zionist and one of the biggest funders in the world of Zionism. He supported the Iraq War, supports the bombing of Gaza, and must bring joy to his heart when little kids are blown to pieces in the Middle East, without being too controversial, but that's what happens. So Murdoch hates Indonesia because, one, it's anti-Zionist, it's a Muslim nation, and even though Bali is Hindu, they oppose what Israel dropping bombs on children. I think any decent human would, right? I mean, you'd have to oppose that now. I think, even pro-Israel supporters, it must be very uncomfortable, Finally, so Murdoch is a Zionist, so he will attack Bali. They also attack me, because I would dare say the reason they attack me is they've always attacked me. Ever since I launched Australian National Review, Dave, as a newspaper, it was in News Agents 2013, the first newspaper we launched in decades, independent newspaper. So we didn't support the globalist agenda. We exposed the globalist agenda. We supported a political revolution in Australia, put a nationalist leader in power. I actually ran in the 2013 federal election, went into politics myself, launched 21st Century Australia as a movement to restore the power back to the people. Ran against the Deputy Prime Minister at the time, Barnaby Joyce. So that's when I started getting a lot of attack articles. Initially it was the left-wing media, because they hate entrepreneurial types, and they want to character assassinate anyone that might provide a platform or educate people too much about what's going on and awaken people too quickly to help create a political revolution. Now, right-wing media targets me because they're targeting not just me, but anyone that's anti-Israel is being heavily targeted. They tried to cancel my career in 2013.
Well, you were also exposing vaccine injuries about 10 years ago or so as well. So that immediately puts a huge target on your back when you start taking away business from Big Pharma.
I was pro-vaccine. I was pro-Israel. I'm neither now, because when you find out the truth, I'm not going to support vaccines when I found out the truth. When I found out the truth about Israel, I just can't support them. And I'm not anti-Jewish. Half my friends are Jewish. I've been invited to Tel Aviv. I've been to Tel Aviv, etc. I've no issue with good Jewish people. I have an issue with Netanyahu and these people that drop bombs on kids. I think it's wrong. And if I'm going to be criticized for opposing that, then so be it. If I have to put up with attack articles and fake news articles like the Australian newspaper, you expect trash in the Daily Telegraph and Murdoch's tabloid newspapers, right? No one takes them too seriously. But for the Australian, people thought the Australian was at least a half-decent newspaper. But when they're running fake news, so example, David, I had a criminal syndicate targeting my Lux property group in Indonesia. There's criminals in every country. This criminal happens to be in Australia. I won't mention his name until it's all through the court cases. But the point being is that they can go and fund PR campaigns, criminal syndicates, and money paid to these newspapers in Australia to run fake character assassination articles. But the top editors only approve these sort of things if they want to go after someone. So, of course, they don't like what I had to say. Australian National Review drives them crazy because it provides their independent thinking and it calls out their bullshit.
Correct.
But, for instance, on one matter, I went to the police, reported one of my company, Lux Property Group, being defrauded in Lombok in one of our new city projects, and went to the federal police for help as well in Australia. The news in Indonesia highlights all that, right? And Indonesian news, 280 million people here, highlight the truth. Australian media took that story and twisted it the other way and run multiple articles saying I was under police investigation, not the truth that I went to the police and got them to investigate the criminal syndicate. And then run that I took $7 million when it was me that was defrauded $7 million. They basically twist the story right around and then spill that out in Australian media. Absolute lies. It's not inadvertent, Dave. You can't say they inadvertently fuck up the story that bad. They had professional editors. There's no way that could get through. That is deliberate manipulation of a story to twist it around and attack me. Why don't they go after the criminal? Why don't they? Because I dare say they're taking money from the criminal.
Well, I had the same experience when we raised money for the floods. Now, many people will be familiar with that case.
Yeah,
they made like conspiracy theorists stole, raised funds from charity and all this sort of stuff. Now, when it went through the courts, it was on the record saying, and the prosecution actually on the record saying there is no allegation or evidence of misappropriation of funds. And the magistrate went, so what did they do with the money? And he goes, they're actually trying to do the right thing. They just didn't have a permit to do it, right?
So once again, they get you on a technicality. It's the same thing with my ASIC issue 13 years ago. They invent technicalities. ASIC went and caused losses to my project, 6 projects, and to some of my investors. Then they frame it that I caused the losses, despite the fact they're the ones that did it deliberately, provocatively, unnecessarily. So they did the same thing to you.
And then on top of that, right, when you've got an audience like both of us do, they run a smear campaign through the mainstream media, and then suddenly your account's censored. So you can't fight that. Like, I've got 97,000 people on my Facebook account, and I can't communicate with them right now to even share what's been going on with your story, because now my account disappeared. Interestingly enough, it's disappeared when I've come to Indonesia. I find that quite coincidental.
Well, even on that, I'm not allowed to expose this criminal syndicate at the moment because they got a federal court order to prevent me exposure. Despite the fact they've received prison sentences for fraud before, charged for fraud on 2 occasions in Australia, charged by the Victorian Police for cheque forgery, charged by the Queensland Police for stealing Telstra copper cables. I mean, they've done all these things, and their last company has taken 23 million of clients' funds in Australia. Despite all that, I'm not allowed to say who they are. But they're allowed to steal $7 million from my company, and then set up a copycat company and steal money. But the Australian media, will they go after them? No, the Australian media only wants to attack people that have the balls to call out the fraud of Australia, the fraud of the government, taxing you 50%, the fraud of mainstream media supports that. Like, they have everyone convinced in Australia that everything's a scam. They get that, so no one will dare invest in anything other than the financial planning, banking, managed funds, etc., to say, or control.
Which is basically financial slavery.
Yeah, everything.
And get them to death.
So, people, they must point this out, though. We have to accept, like, you look at Gaza and you look at what's happened there. We have to accept we as humanity has failed. We have witnessed one of the worst genocides, holocausts ever in our lifetime, right? But we have failed to stop it because we took too long to wake up to the truth. We kept being brainwashed by, oh, it's not a genocide. There's still Australian politicians saying it's not a genocide. There's Murdoch press and all that stuff, not a genocide. There's still this media saying all this stuff. So wherever we believe fake news, fake narratives, it's shame on us. We should have been fact-checking the news a long time ago. But because we fail to fact-check, we accept fake news to be true, and we also like gossip, a lot of humans do, so they like, oh yeah, they will troll people, etc. Instead of going, hang on a minute, we should fact check everything, and we have to learn to do that. Otherwise, we are responsible for fake news.
Well, Jamie, finishing on a good note, at least life is fantastic here in Bali, Indonesia. I'll be heading over to Java in a couple of days. We know what's going on in Australia. I've come to the conclusion that the agenda will not be stopped. Australians will get their bread and circuses. We know facial recognition is coming to the AFL and the NRL, and most people go along, scan their face, get their meat pie and a can of, and just get on with it. They won't care. There was no French Revolution until they ran out of bread. I think they know there'll be no revolution in Australia. If the beer is on and the meat pies are hot, people won't care. It will roll on. I'm definitely considering my future over here in Indonesia. Jamie, any thoughts as we wrap up the chat?
Yeah, no, I think it's sad. I mean, we're both patriots of Australians. I love visiting Australia. Australia's a great place to visit, so it's not like you'll miss it. But I can tell you now, I'm in no mood back in Australia. I would find if I had to live in Australia, one, it's boring. No offense, but it's boring. It's not the country it used to be. There's such a better life outside of Australia. I don't know why people want to stay there. It used to be a great country. Maybe one day we can help save it, turn it around, but until then, You've got to live your life. Bali's booming for a reason. Indonesia's booming for a reason because it's offering something that's unique. And people are welcome, Dave, to come over and check us out. Free coffee here, we're right here at the Hotel K by Lux. So if you ever any of you in Bali, chase Dave up or myself and come have a coffee here in Bali, Indonesia.
Congratulations on the hotel coming together and also the very, very near completion of K and Lux Village just down the road. Come and check it out. See you soon, folks. Bye for now.